Hi friends, welcome back to the office. My name is Kent Grumpy Smith, and I've got a message I want to share to you today that's not really going to be fun, but I think it's very important that I give it to you, and I ask you to consider what I have to say for yourself, or maybe for a close friend or relative, someone, maybe your husband or wife or your children. I'm going to talk about depression today, and more specifically how it affected me. And I hope that by doing this you'll be able to see that it's just everyday people who are affected by this, that it's normal, folks. And yes, that it's normal. I don't mean that as that it's just normal for everybody. I mean it's normal in that millions of people suffer from depression. And I think it's misunderstood sometimes because people just say get over it. I know the Eagles have a great song out I really enjoy listening to, and he says just get over it. All of the moaning and groaning you do, just get over it. Well, you know, that's true to a point. I like the song that Willie Nelson sang. He says, you know, I've done all of these things, but there's nothing I can do about it now. And to a point, most folks can do that. But sometimes those who are affected with depression, those who are not getting the proper brain signals, the proper, I don't know medically what they're called, but it is possible for your brain, your mind, not to feed itself properly. And when that happens, you can suffer depression. And I've been there. I want to tell you a story, and quite possibly this is going to take more than one video to get the job done. But please bear with me because this is important. And I want you to know as I've always claimed, I'm just an ordinary man, nothing special. But I suffer from depression. And thankfully, because of the story and the things that happened that I'm about to tell you, I have taken steps to live with my depression. Because you see, I believe being in depression is like being an alcoholic. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. I believe that it's something that you learn to live with. Medication helps. Counseling can help. But doing nothing can't help. So here's the story. I had always been pretty successful throughout my life. Nothing great, you know. I wasn't on easy street by any means. I know when our kids grew up in Denver City, we were considered the quote rich folks. We lived in a modest house, but I bought a new truck every year, new pickup, and Paula never drove a car more than a couple of years old. And yes, our kids had vehicles once they got their driver's license, and yeah, we took vacations. We enjoyed a good life, and I didn't save much. I spent what I made, but nonetheless, we enjoyed what we had, and we were comfortable. It had been that way all my life. It seemed like no matter what I tried, I was somewhat successful. Maybe never the best, but never the worst. And I just kind of always had things going my way. By the time I was 28 years old, I was president of the Texas Independent Cotton Ginners Association. Now that may not mean much to you, but back then it was an organization of 500 or 600 members. And I was the youngest ever president of that organization. Somewhat successful. It just seems that a lot of times whatever I was involved in, I ended up in charge of, and things worked for me. Well, when Miranda graduated high school, our youngest, we decided to make a major change in life. Call it a midlife crisis, if you will. We sold the farm, sold interest in the gin that I had been with for 19 years. That's how I'd made my living and had been somewhat successful at it. It was during that time that I was involved in 2 statewide cotton gin associations. I'd done work at the state capitol and for the associations. You know, it had been a good ride. But it was time to move on. We sold the farm, sold the gin, and we moved to the Metroplex, Dallas-Fort Worth, to open up a golf store. And quite honestly, I didn't know anything about the business, and I'll give you the short version. I got in over my head and was soon hit with the reality that we probably weren't going to make it. Now, I had a manager that I had hired that I had full confidence in, and I had 4 minor partners. Well, when one of the minor partners came to me and said, look, I know we're in trouble and I have the money to prop us up, but I want you to leave. I want you to get out of the way. I did that. I got out of the way. And the reason I did it was because I thought it was the best thing for those minor partners, because I didn't want them to hurt. I didn't want them to lose money. I didn't want them to suffer. So I left. Didn't really know where to go, and even as Josh, my son, put it, he said, Dad, you know, you're almost 50 years old, you have no college degree, you know, where are you going to go? I said, well, I don't know, son. Anyway, I got my real estate license, and I started selling real estate, and it's very difficult to get started. So I was struggling. The store continued to go down, and just one thing after another, I began to see myself falling into depression. I began to see myself getting to a point that I didn't know how to get out. I would find myself of a morning sitting in the chair in the living room thinking I really should get up and make some calls. I really should go see some people. And then I would think, what's the use? They just tell me no. And then I would think, you know, you've got to get up and go do something to make some money. Oh, but it just wasn't worth the effort. So I'd sit on the couch or in my chair most of the day. Didn't do much reading. Watched TV some. Spent a lot of time just sitting in the dark. Think about things I could get up and go do and just think, nah, not worth it. Just take too much effort. Well, I lived that way for longer than I should have, and it just continued to get worse and worse. Once the business did go completely out, even though I had stepped aside, I hit rock bottom because I knew my friends, the minor partners, all 4 of them, had lost a considerable amount of money. And in that time, I had to do something that I thought I would never do. Something that bothered me greatly, and I've had a hard time dealing with even now. I had to file personal bankruptcy. I did it as a means of helping the business, helping those 4. And folks, I was responsible for over $1 million in debt, and I personally wasn't making $5,000–$10,000 a year. Yeah, I filed bankruptcy, and it really ate on me. Put me further into depression than I had been already. So those days of sitting on the couch turned into sleepless nights, thinking of things I should do, but I didn't want to. Thinking maybe I could go do this or that, but I didn't want to. You see, depression puts you in a state of hopelessness. It puts you in a state of just not thinking anything is worth it. Even though you've got a beautiful wife, some amazing kids, some grandkids that really do bring a smile to your life, but you just can't seem to get there. Even the kids, to get up off the couch, put in the effort to go see them. Man, sometimes it just wasn't worth it. I'm going to continue this on another video. Thanks.